Welcome. I'm Veronica Clark from the website How Do I Go On, and I'm here with my awesome and amazing friends, Sandra Winchester and Ashley Burke, and we're talking about grief and loss. In last session, we talked about choosing our reaction, and so today we're going to discuss how you can choose to react with forgiveness. We just got done doing a conference with A Reason to Stand that was all about forgiveness. And it was totally amazing. I learned so much from all of the presenters there. But now, our challenge today is to try to condense everything that we spoke about in several hours into a short video for you. So, to start us out, I have a question. Why is forgiveness such an important element of overcoming grief? What do you guys think?
Oh, it's hard when all of our stories are so different. But I think for me, finding forgiveness for anyone involved in your story, for the person who died, for yourself, for God, it's more just like a freeing experience for yourself to just be okay with where you are. I think anger and bitterness towards any of those people or your higher power is a natural part of grieving, but it also holds you back from living, and it holds you back from being the person that God wants you to be right now where He's placed you. So I had to let go of a lot of anger and bitterness in my journey of forgiveness to even be able to, I don't know, to function as a person.
I completely agree with you the same way. And just kind of extend that, I think for me to deal with grief and to be able to function and cope, I had to be able to feel the Spirit. And when I felt bitterness, that poisoned my ability to feel the Spirit. And so I've had kind of this greater incentive to find those little things inside of me, those little slivers, the things that still need to be forgiven, and to get rid of them so that I can feel a greater measure of the Spirit, because that is what gives me the power to kind of move forward.
Well, I think for me, I think Ashley hit it right on too. I think all of our stories are very different and very, they're similar yet different. And for me, I didn't have a lot of people around me to forgive, but I felt like that at times I was a little bit angry with God. And what I had shared in the conference that we had, I had talked about that if I can't forgive God, if you don't forgive God, then you can't move forward, because God is key to your healing. And what I've also realized is that holding grudges and holding and anger are two different things. Anger is an initial response. Anger is something that we all kind of, whoever it is you need to forgive, I think initially you kind of feel this anger and you feel this uneasiness about it, and you just really are really mad. And then with time, you can work through that anger. And I think where the problem comes in is when we hold on to it, that's when it becomes a grievance. And then when it's a grievance is when we don't forgive. And so grieving, or not grievance, but when we're still angry and when we're holding on to this grievance and holding on to whatever happened to us, we can't move forward. So we have to forgive in order to move forward. We have to forgive so that for us, it's not for the other people. It's like I realized it's not for God. I'm not forgiving God for God's sake. It's for my sake. It's because I need that for me. He doesn't need me to forgive him, but I need it. And so that's what I've learned through the process. It's for me.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of all have this consensus that forgiving helps us move forward. And Ashley kind of brought up, our stories are all different, and when you get into forgiveness, you find that there's more than just one person to forgive, because sometimes our anger extends out to God, and even sometimes it's ourselves and things that we have to forgive about ourselves. So as we think about kind of all of these components, I thought we would each take a turn just sharing some of the tools that have been instrumental for each of us individually with the process of forgiveness. We'll just kind of take turns.
Oh, I'll go first. So I think for me, part of the process was realizing the role that I played. And a lot of times I kind of got into that victim mode where I felt so hurt and I had so many people that I had to forgive that I felt like I could do nothing wrong. So I almost put myself on a pedestal thinking that I was the victim. And what happened for me was I started avoiding my reality, which is something that I've had to ask for forgiveness for. That, I'm sorry, family, that through my grieving process, I kind of abandoned you for a little bit. Like, I didn't know that at the time, but looking back, I need you to forgive me. Before I can even start to forgive all those other people, I need to accept my role that I chose to play in what we were given here. So that's kind of a tool that I didn't realize I needed so much. I really thought forgiveness was going to be this plea for other people, but it kind of has to start, for me at least, from within, for acknowledging where I've gone wrong, even though this story wasn't my fault, or whatever it is that we're stuck on, this victim badge that we wear, that we pretend that everybody else is doing us wrong all the time, but really accepting that, you know what, I messed up along the way too. And I hope that people can forgive me while I'm asking that I can forgive them from God.
Yeah, I think being open to the idea that we need to change as well helps us accept and be patient for other people to change. And maybe as we see it in ourselves, that gives us the patience and the grace that we can then extend to others, because we want it too. We want people to give that to us. So yeah, thank you, Ashley. That's great. What else? What are some other tools?
Well, I think for me, I realized part of forgiving is back to the whole bringing God into this thing, is that when I pray to God, that you need to make sure that you aren't taking the Facebook approach, that you are not just talking to him and smoothing it over and not getting real. You need to get real with him, and you need to talk to him and say, you know what, I'm angry about this. Help me to overcome this anger, because I got news for you. We can't hide our feelings from him. He knows our thoughts, but he needs us to talk about it. And the thing that I've learned is to talk to him as my friend, to talk to him and say, you know what, this made me mad. This hurt my feelings. And that works with not only him, but with everybody. Anytime you have a grievance, you need to go to God. Anytime you're holding a grudge, you need to go to God, because God is the one, he's really the only one that can heal your heart. You can go to your friend, you can go to everybody else and talk to them about it. It's not going to help. It might make it worse. And so you need to drop to your knees and take time to talk to God. So that has been a really big key factor for me. And not only does it help you to forgive other people, but it helps you to forgive yourself. I like that, Veronica even said sometimes we need to, and Ashley, to forgive ourselves. And I've realized through this whole process, there was things that happened with my husband that I had to learn to forgive myself, because I thought, what if I'd done this differently or that? Would the outcome been different for him? Would he have suffered less? What if we hadn't done all that chemotherapy? And I realized, you know what, forgive anything that you may not have done that you think is not correct. And a part of that is we don't understand the whole purpose, the whole meaning. There's no point in beating yourself up. God is the only one that can help you heal and forgive. And the reason why he can help us is he knows how. We turn to the person that knows how to forgive, and he knows how, and so we trust him. We're all learning. We're all mortals. We're all here just learning this process. And so if I call Veronica on the phone and go, dude, what am I supposed to do? She might give me her mortal advice, and I might take it, but it may not be right. And so we need to learn to listen to God. We need to learn to have that relationship. That's the first key thing in all that we do, is to have a relationship with him. He can help us forgive.
Right, so I love how you brought in the whole idea with humility again, because I'm hearing from both of you, really to be able to forgive, we have to have humility, and be able to take it to God, be able to see in ourselves things that we need to change, all of that together. And you brought up trusting God, and for me, that has been a huge one, and learning to trust that what he is doing with my life, or just allowing to occur in my life, even in the bad times, will bring me and my family the maximum growth. And that in the end, that all of these difficulties can work for my good. And if I remember that helps me to keep everything else in perspective. God allows everyone on this planet to choose their actions. And I think that means sometimes that we end up as the victims, or we're present in the fallout of some of those bad choices. And God doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't like watching us make bad decisions, and he definitely doesn't like watching us get innocently hurt. But he can use those experiences to help teach us important lessons. And I think he knows that we have to learn those lessons one way or the other. And they normally only are learned through hard experiences. I can say now, after 3.5 years, that I and my children have grown in ways that I could have never imagined because of this experience. And those have been a lot of good ways. And so when I see that purpose, that helps me to put bad feelings aside for things that have happened and trust that God will work it out, that he will show me how to get through it, and that maybe the process of me getting through it is how I'm going to better come to know him. It's how I'm going to learn how to better love people. There are so many positive things that we can learn from hardships.
Totally. I think too, going to God, I used to picture like he was like, yes, you're doing a good job, but every once in a while he goes, hold on, wait a minute, no, that's not how we're going to do this. And he can give you the best advice for how to change, not only how to forgive, but how to change your view of something that maybe the reason you're not forgiving is because you're looking at this all wrong. Maybe the reason you're not forgiving is because you're not seeing that person with the love that I have for them. And he can give you a change of heart, which in turn can help you better your journey of forgiveness.
Yeah, I don't think forgiveness is something we do alone. We need God's help to have that change of heart. So I think you're right on. Go ahead, Sandra.
Well, I was going to say, I do think, too, that the key thing that we need to bring up here, too, is everything we do in life is about a choice. We can choose whether or not we're going to let our anger fester and turn into a grudge or not. Bottom line is we can choose to forgive. We can choose that. And it's through God's grace, it's through the atonement of Christ that we're able to do that and to access it. So basically, bottom line is it's a choice. We can choose to forgive, and we need to do it. That's it.
And when we choose, we remove ourselves from being the victim to then being the one that's in control.
Well, and part of that choice is being grateful, because I've learned through this process, too, I could be very angry and bitter that my husband, I didn't get enough time with him here, or I can be grateful that I had the time with him that I did. It's about perspective. It's about gratitude. Throw in those key things that you know, and that's also a part of the healing process that helps you forgive people. Know that you don't always know their heart. You don't know the intents of other people's hearts. Only God knows. That's why God can help you, is he knows. He knows how to heal you. So that's kind of been key for me, is gratitude and going back to those things that I know work.
Yeah, and you talked a lot about perspective and seeing people's hearts. And, one of the things for me, like especially in forgiving other people, is sometimes we can get in a situation where we're like, we look at another person and that is our enemy, and then it's us against them. And I've kind of seen, God has helped me to see this new perspective, that it's not the people around me that are my enemies. That Satan is the enemy, and his influence on those people sometimes makes them make wrong choices, and sometimes it's how they've been brought up. But if I can see like who the real problem is Satan, and I can look at it that way, then I cannot be as adversarial with people, and I can be more willing to forgive them and see them as someone who is being influenced. And who needs help. And then I can choose to be one of the people that helps them by extending some grace to them, by forgiving, by loving them even though they've hurt me. And in that way, I help them move forward, and we can get to be on the same team. Because Satan wins when we fight against each other. And that's not what I want. I don't want to give in to that.
Yeah, and I think with that perspective, knowing that we could be on the same team it helps us kind of let go of our plan of what it should be. What is forgiveness in my head? It's this and this and this and this and this, and it allows you to let go of another plan that isn't going to go exactly how you want it to, and we cannot control the way other people are going to come to help us through our forgiveness process, but just put it in God's hands. Like you were saying, use grace to say, okay, you've got this one. I'm going to step back and just try to see this all how you want me to see it.
Yep.
And sometimes I think the people that we are struggling to forgive the most can be people that are the closest to us, because they often are the ones that can hurt us the deepest. And especially in those cases, when you're talking about family members, I think it is really important to remember that we're ultimately on the same team. My husband, when we first got married, used to remind me of that all the time. We would get in an argument, and I would be like, don't tell me what to do, don't, and he would go, oh, wait a minute, I'm on your team. And when he would do that, I could step back and I could look and, okay, we have different perspectives, we see things in a different way, let's talk about how we can work as a team together. And that can be a helpful perspective to think about that. Do you guys have any other tools you want to share?
Nope, I think we better wrap it up.
Did you get it? Good. All right. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today. So we've been talking about dealing with the past, a lot about forgiveness. And so next time we're going to talk about another tool that can help you deal with the past as well as the future. We'll be discussing how staying in the present can help us do that. So subscribe to our channel to join us for next time for that. But until then, we invite you to follow the links below to learn more about today's topic on our forgiveness page of our website. And there are posts to read, there are questions to think about, and comments to make. And seriously, we would love to hear from you. So please comment. And if you're enjoying this program, please like it and share it through your favorite social media. We love to be able to help other people. And so until next time, have a blessed day.